didn't know what it was about. Everybody was going in different directions, and that's the same thing we find here in the aerosol program. The pilots probably don't know what they're doing. The crews that put it in, they have no idea what it was for. We believe that it was sold to governments as global warming fix. We believe that, but it wasn't. Here's what it was about. It was about a sub-program, making a sub-program in a Navy program called the Variable Terrain Radio Parabolic Equation, VTRPE, function over land terrain. That's what it's about. That is what it's about. You've heard all kinds of explanations for 7 or 8 years, but it's for the VTRPE.
Why don't you
and
repeat?
It's part of the Radio Frequency Mission Planner. It's a system. It's a computer system, RFMP, Radio Frequency Mission Planner, and the VTRPE programs are a sub-program within that system. And it was first put on the Enterprise and aircraft carriers for battlefield imaging. The system would not work over land terrain adequately, or accurately rather, without creating a ducting of radio waves over land terrain, and they use the mixture of barium salt to do that. And that enables the whole system to function. It is the system that the United States uses in Afghanistan and Iraq, and probably will use in Iran and some of the other applications, and that's what it's about. It's about the VTRPE. I see we're running out of time, and there's several things that I've just got to mention to you. Now, within the Navy program, we see DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and they're into biologicals, and that's where Clifford shines. He has identified many very harmful biologicals coming out of the aerosols.
And, of course, you're speaking of Clifford Carnicom, just
Clifford
so people
Carnicom, yes.
are aware. And that's carnicom.com. That's CARNICOM.com.
We have the greatest admiration for Clifford, and we have admiration for Scott, the weatherman, too. Scott Stevens, he's a man of conviction. We admire him for that.
Yes.
So DARPA is involved, and DARPA is involved in spraying cities. We caught them spraying Asheville, North Carolina several years ago with a substance called BCTP, developed under one of their contracts at the University of Michigan, and it's an anti-anthrax. So that was one of the first that we saw coming out of the aircraft. They brought them in and sprayed the city. Strange, Art Bell's mother lived in Asheville, North Carolina, and he talked about it on the air, although he didn't fully understand it. Now, here's the killer. Here's the big one. Recently, we've come upon another danger in the atmosphere over America. It has nothing to do necessarily with the Navy VTRPE or the aerosoling. It is an attack on North American weather. The weather is being manipulated from outside of the country. The hurricane that slammed into New Orleans was guided in there. So was the Hurricane Rita and Gaston and some of the others. We believe that the Russian systems that have been developed since the late 50s, early 60s in Russia is the ultimate weapon, and we have no defenses against it. It's called SCALAR. That's a modern name for the systems, SCALAR weapons. There are 3 divisions of SCALAR coming against America. One is called energetics, and one is called bioenergetics, and one is called psychoenergetics. The psycho function can actually manipulate mind, thoughts, personalities, and cause astronaut Lisa to wear a diaper driving across the country.
Really?
That kind of thing, yes. There was an admiral on an aircraft recently that stood up and said to everybody on the plane that he had smallpox, and they took him off the plane. He was in medicine. That was psychoenergetics. It's functions on the mind and mind functions. You can actually insert another personality in the person. The bio comes against living bodies, their biochemistry. And the energetics can come against the Challenger, the Columbia, the Thrasher submarine, where 129 men died. Those were, we believe, we are sure they were attacks by Russian scalar weapons. They're actually interferometer transmitters used in an interferometer way with 2 transmitters intersecting over North America. That's
now, just
what's happening.
For those that don't understand scalar, would you define the scalar or tell us what scalar weaponry is?
It's very complicated. If I read you the definition, you still wouldn't know. But on the website linked with you, the mysterious booms, you will find a link to Tom Bearden, Colonel Bearden in Huntsville. He defines all of that and tells quite a story about it. Tom Bearden has been the Tesla guru for many years. He is highly respected. He is a brilliant man and a great American.
Mm-hmm. And he is speaking out also. Or he has in the past.
He has in the past, yes.
Right, he is not speaking out now.
We'll talk about that off the air. I don't want to get people hurt. This is a very dangerous thing to get into. I can't stress that enough. The scalar transmitters in Russia are controlled by the Federal Security Service. It's abbreviated FSB, but it actually stands for the Federal Security Service, the old KGB, and not necessarily under the direct control of the Russian government. It's quite a story to this. The woodpecker transmitters that have been going on for 25, 30 years over North America are part of the weapons system coming against North America. We're experiencing and hearing from people all over the country that are experiencing dizzy spells, and they fall forward to the left. They're dizzy, forward to the left. I'm sure many of your listeners right now are saying, my God, that's happened to me. Well, it's happening all over the country, and that is the manifestation of these scalar weapon systems. The town in Kansas was devastated as a result of guiding and manufacturing that storm. Now, that's going to increase in the rest of this year. The hurricanes were suppressed last year, but hopefully the United States science community will be able to suppress them again. That is the real threat against us right now, is the Russian. Now, other countries have these weapon systems. We are late coming up to speed. We do not have adequate defenses against them right now. I will tell you that Israel stood between the United States and Russia with its defenses. Israel protected the United States on several occasions when we got right down to the line. There's been some white knuckle time with this, and the people are completely oblivious to it. But again, we're sure that the Challenger was taken down, and other aircraft, other commercial aircraft on the West Coast. Alaskan Airlines has been having a lot of trouble running into these scalar fields, but nobody knows about it. Back when I was like 19 years old, I first went into the service. We were in the Philippines, and in intelligence, we would penetrate Chinese airspace on a regular basis. We would penetrate the space to see how they would react, and we would listen to their communications, their military, and we would know something about their defenses. Well, the Russians are doing the very same thing to us right now, and we're not responding. It's as though we have no idea what's going on. And each time that happens, they become more confident. If we go into Iran, God only knows what's going to happen. But if we don't go into Iran, God only knows what's going to happen to us. So I can see some real desperate times ahead. We also know in the study of this, as I told you earlier, when we started looking at this, there was one door, and then all of a sudden we saw 2 doors, then 4 doors, then 8 doors, and 16 doors, and 32 doors to explore, and that's why it's taken all of these years to do that. We know that atomic devices have been pre-positioned in American cities. We know that Israel pre-positioned atomic devices in Russian cities. So there's some standoff here, but we are in a desperate time, and people are oblivious to it.
Well, I'm afraid that you're right on the oblivious part, because people cannot believe that this country would do that because of the facade of, oh, we care about your freedom and we're there for you, and we want to provide the most strong military to protect you. And they hate freedom, and that's why they're after us. And all these phony things that we have been fed. But, you know, there was a paper that was done, and I really appreciate receiving this. It was a thesis by Matthew Doggett that, as I understand, is not on the Internet, about the documentation behind what you're talking about here with respect to this project. And I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's called an atmospheric sensitivity and validation study of the variable terrain radio parabolic equation model, or the VTRPE, as A.C. Griffith was just discussing. Now, can you just help us understand